From the very first moment humanity took to the skies, the vast, boundless expanse above has been more than just a canvas for dreams. It has been a brutal, unforgiving battlefield, a theater where courage is measured in split-second decisions, and fate hangs on the razor's edge of skill and raw nerve. This is the story of air combat, an epic saga of human ingenuity and indomitable spirit etched across the heavens. Prepare to experience the ultimate collection of the most intense air battles in history, a journey that transcends time, from the roaring propellers of World War II to the high-speed confrontations of the jet age and beyond. This documentary brings legendary air battles to life with cinematic precision, pushing the boundaries of what you thought possible through breathtaking recreation. Each segment dives deep into real aerial combat scenarios, meticulously reconstructed to capture every detail. Witness the daring dogfights that defined an era, the heroic last stands against overwhelming odds, and the relentless pursuit of air superiority. Utilizing cutting-edge visual technology, these recreated air battles showcase the bravery, the tactics, and the relentless innovation that have defined generations of fighter pilots. Whether it's the iconic P-51 Mustangs carving through the European skies, protecting vital bomber streams, or the F-14 Tomcats asserting dominance in the high-stakes chess game of the Cold War, every moment is crafted to immerse you. Feel the adrenaline surge, the chaos of battle, the deafening roar of engines, and the chilling crackle of radio static. This stunning compilation is a tribute to aviation's greatest duels, a chronicle of the evolution of air warfare, and a testament to the warriors who dared to fly into the fire. Join us on this journey through the skies and relive the most unforgettable air battles ever fought. Before the modern marvels of steel and thrust, air combat began with a delicate dance of wood and fabric. The First World War, an era of mud and trenches, suddenly opened a new dimension of warfare. Pilots, once mere observers, became knights of the air, engaging in chivalrous yet utterly deadly duels. They flew fragile machines, biplanes and triplanes, armed with rudimentary machine guns that often jammed. Yet the bravery was immense, the stakes immediate. Imagine the solitude of a pilot, high above the churning battlefields, the rhythmic thrum of the engine a constant companion, a fragile shield against the vast emptiness. The sky, once serene, was now a domain of sudden violence. Spotting an enemy aircraft meant a rapid calculation, an instant surge of adrenaline. The Fokker E-3, the Newport 17, the Sopwith Camel, these were the mounts of legends like the Red Baron, Eddie Rickenbacker, and Billy Bishop. Their fights were often one-on-one, a personal contest of skill, nerve, and sheer audacity. The smell of oil and petrol filled the cramped cockpit, the wind tearing at their faces, a constant reminder of their precarious existence. Every deflection shot was a gamble, every evasive maneuver a fight against gravity and the limits of their machines. This nascent stage of aerial warfare laid the foundation for everything that followed, defining the fighter pilot's creed: to engage, to dominate, to survive. It was the birth of the dogfight, a term that would echo through a century of conflict. The interwar years saw rapid technological advancements. Biplanes gave way to sleeker, faster monoplanes. Engines grew more powerful, airframes more robust. Aerodynamics became a science, not just an art. But it was the crucible of World War II that truly forged the legend of the air battle, escalating it to an unprecedented scale of intensity and destruction. The European theater, specifically the skies over Britain, became the first great arena for this new level of conflict. The Battle of Britain in 1940 was not just a series of aerial engagements, it was an existential struggle for a nation's survival. The Royal Air Force, outnumbered and outgunned, stood as the last line of defense against the Luftwaffe's relentless onslaught. Picture a young Spitfire pilot, barely out of training, scrambling into his cockpit, the siren's wail still ringing in his ears, the frantic shouts of ground crew a blur. The roar of the Merlin engine as it coughs to life, a deep, resonant sound that vibrates through his bones, is both terrifying and exhilarating. He climbs, straining against the G-forces, scanning the vast expanse of blue, searching for the telltale glint of enemy aircraft, hundreds of them streaming across the channel. His heart pounds, a frantic drumbeat in his chest, echoing the relentless rhythm of fate.
This route is too
Then
dangerous.
the radio crackles, a
We must take
strained
the bridge,
voice
Cal.
shouting,
It's the only
"Bandits
way."
at 12 o'clock
All right.
high!"
Send the squadron
And
at
there they are,
0400.
a swarm of Dornier bombers, escorted by sleek Messerschmitt Bf-109s, their crosses stark against the sky. The pilot's training kicks in, but it's the raw, instinctual drive to protect his homeland, his family, his very way of life that truly takes over. He pushes the stick forward, dives into the fray, a tiny dart against a steel cloud. The air fills with tracer fire, glittering streams of death. The staccato bark of his own machine guns, a familiar, comforting sound amidst the terrifying symphony of war. He locks onto a Messerschmitt, a deadly dance begins. The world outside the cockpit blurs into a kaleidoscope of sky and clouds, the horizon tilting wildly. His body screams under the strain of tight turns, G-forces pressing him deep into his seat, vision momentarily tunneling. He feels the thud of enemy rounds striking his wing, a jolt of ice through his veins, but he holds his focus. A burst of his own fire, a trail of smoke from the enemy, and then a fiery explosion. One down. But there are dozens more. The battle rages for what feels like an eternity, but in reality is often mere minutes, minutes that stretch into an eternity of fear, precision, and violent action. The sweat stings his eyes, his breath ragged, his hands cramping on the stick.
Cowling secure.
When he finally breaks free, fuel dangerously low, ammunition spent,
Prop
he's a
clear,
different man.
ready for magneto check.
Exhausted, exhilarated, and alive. This was the essence of the Battle of Britain, a testament to sheer, unyielding will. As the war progressed, the focus shifted from defensive dogfights to offensive power projection. Strategic bombing campaigns aimed to cripple the enemy's industrial capacity. But these mighty bomber formations, the B-17 Flying Fortresses and B-24 Liberators, were vulnerable, lumbering giants in hostile skies. They needed guardians. They needed long-range escorts. Enter the P-50 Mustang. With its laminar flow wing and Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, it was a sleek, formidable hunter. Pilots of the 8th Air Force, facing the brutal realities of combat deep over Germany, became legendary. Their mission, protect the bombers at all costs through relentless engagement with the Luftwaffe's FW-190s and BF-190s. Imagine a pilot flying a P-51 tens of thousands of feet above the frozen plains of Central Europe. The oxygen mask is cold against his face, the constant drone of the engine a dull roar. Hours pass, the cold seeping into his bones, the vastness of the sky a heavy presence. Then, ahead, the sight, the majestic yet vulnerable formation of bombers, tiny specks against the distant haze. And amidst them, or sweeping in from above, the enemy. A familiar dread, a cold knot in the stomach, intertwines with a fierce resolve. These bombers, carrying thousands of lives and the fate of the war, are his to defend. The P-51 dives, a silver streak, faster than anything the German fighters have encountered. The pilot's senses are on high alert, his vision darting, seeking, anticipating. He sees a Bf-109 peel off, lining up on a straggling B-17. No time for hesitation. He pushes the throttle. The Mustang lunges forward, guns chattering. The enemy aircraft jinks violently, trying to shake him, but the Mustang is a master of the vertical. It climbs, it dives, it twists with an agility that belies its size. The G-forces are immense, crushing him into the seat, threatening to black him out, but his vision is locked on the target. He feels the recoil of his 6.50 caliber machine guns, a rhythmic tremor through the airframe.
Right away,
The smell of cordite suddenly sharp in his nose. The Bf-109 erupts in a shower of sparks and smoke, falling away, a broken thing. Relief washes over him, brief and fleeting, as another German fighter, an FW-190, flashes past his canopy, so close he can see the pilot's helmet.
What about the weather front
He yanks
moving
the
in?
stick, rolling, turning, entering a swirling, chaotic dance. The sky becomes a three-dimensional arena of death, metal and men locked in a desperate struggle. He sees his comrades, other Mustangs, engaged in their own battles, smoke trails and explosions marking the grim realities of the fight. The adrenaline is a constant electric current, sharpening his focus, pushing him beyond exhaustion. His mouth is dry, his heart racing, Yet there is a strange clarity, a primal instinct taking over. To hunt, to fight, to survive. These pilots, flying in formation for hours, then breaking into a whirlwind of individual combat, often returning with bullet holes in their planes, if they returned at all, exemplified a new kind of aerial heroism. They were the shield of the bomber streams, pushing the limits of both man and machine. Beyond the high-altitude duels, the skies also witnessed relentless ground attack missions. Aircraft like the British Hawker Typhoon and the American P-47 Thunderbolt became flying artillery, providing crucial close air support to ground troops locked in desperate battles across Normandy and beyond. Imagine a Typhoon pilot flying low over the ravaged landscape of France. The ground below is a patchwork of shell craters, burning tanks, and the frantic movement of soldiers. His mission is to suppress enemy positions, to clear a path for the advancing infantry. The air is thick with the smell of smoke and gunpowder rising from below. He sees a line of German tanks, camouflaged amongst the trees, their guns traversed towards friendly forces. A cold fury settles over him. He banks hard, bringing his massive machine, armed with rockets and cannons, to bear. The roar of the engine is deafening, the vibrations shaking the entire aircraft. He lines up his attack run, a dangerous ballet of speed and precision, vulnerable to every anti-aircraft gun on the ground. The tracers from flak guns erupt around him, glowing red lines of warning, some ripping through his wings, shaking the aircraft violently. He holds steady, his concentration absolute. He presses the firing button, rockets streaking away, a deadly swarm, followed by the shattering roar of his 20mm cannons. Explosions bloom amongst the enemy tanks, fire and smoke billowing upwards. He pulls up sharply, feeling the powerful kick of the G-forces, sweat streaming down his face. He risks a glance back, seeing the damage inflicted, the enemy position silenced. A small victory, a tiny breath of relief, but the war rages on. He circles back, ready for another pass, another desperate gamble against the odds. These ground attack missions were visceral, immediate, and often tragically short, demanding immense courage from pilots who literally stared death in the face at treetop height. Their actions directly saved lives on the ground, connecting the detached world of the sky to the brutal reality of the battlefield below. The Pacific Theater presented an entirely different set of challenges and an even more expansive canvas for air combat. The vast distances, the unpredictable weather, and a formidable, tenacious enemy in the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service created a crucible of unique intensity. Here, carrier-based aviation became paramount, dictating the flow of island-hopping campaigns and pivotal naval battles. Consider a young American pilot strapped into his F-4F Wildcat, or later the F-6F Hellcat, on the deck of an aircraft carrier. The ship pitches and rolls in the endless expanse of the Pacific, a tiny steel island in a world of water. The air is thick with the smell of salt and aviation fuel. The catapult launch is a violent, explosive rush, throwing him forward with incredible force, the roar of the engine a desperate scream against the wind. In seconds, he is airborne, a speck against the vast blue, the carrier shrinking behind him. His mission might be a long-range patrol, a search for the enemy fleet, or a desperate intercept of incoming bombers. Hours crawl by, the monotony of patrol broken only by the constant vigilance, the strain on his eyes as he scans the horizon. The sun beats down mercilessly, turning the cockpit into an oven. The ever-present thought, running out of fuel, ditching in the ocean, a watery grave thousands of miles from home. Then, the contact. A flash of silver, a telltale silhouette against the clouds. Japanese Zeros, fast, agile, and piloted by skilled, fanatical airmen. The battle is on. The Wildcat or Hellcat, though not as nimble as the Zero in a tight turn, possesses superior speed, diving capability, and rugged construction, often absorbing incredible punishment. The pilot, trained in hit-and-run tactics, uses the sun to his advantage, diving out of nowhere, delivering a devastating burst of fire, then climbing away before the Zero can react. He feels the vibrations of his heavy machine guns, the sudden lurch as he pulls Gs, his vision tunneling, the world spinning. The frantic chatter on the radio, calls of break, break, and 6 o'clock merge into a cacophony of urgency. He sees a zero on a fellow pilot's tail, its guns spitting fire. Without hesitation, he rolls his aircraft, bringing his guns to bear, a desperate attempt to save his wingman. The Zero pilot, equally determined, pulls a dizzying maneuver, the aircraft seemingly defying physics. But the American pilot holds his nerve, compensating, leading his target, firing another burst. The Zero blossoms into a fiery ball, a stark, sudden end amidst the vast, indifferent ocean. The exhilaration of victory is mixed with the grim realization of how close he himself came to that fate. The Pacific Air War was a brutal, extended duel, often fought without the familiar landmarks of Europe, against an enemy whose resolve was matched only by their skill. Every engagement was a life-or-death gamble, played out against the backdrop of an endless, unforgiving sea. As the war neared its end, the United States introduced the F-4U Corsair, a monstrously powerful naval fighter with a distinctive gull-wing design. Its capabilities were unmatched, dominating the skies over Okinawa and other fiercely contested islands. The Corsair, with its speed and climb rate, was a terror to the remaining Japanese air forces, including the desperate kamikaze pilots. The sight of a flight of Corsairs on the horizon was a beacon of hope for ground troops and sailors alike, a symbol of American air superiority achieved through relentless combat and technological innovation. These battles over the Pacific were fought with an intensity born of the highest stakes, the very future of nations hanging in the balance, decided not just on land or sea, but decisively in the unforgiving skies. The roar of propellers began to fade, replaced by a new, more powerful sound, the scream of jet engines. The Korean War, though often overshadowed by its larger predecessor, was a pivotal moment in the history of air combat. It was the first time jet fought jet, ushering in an entirely new era of speed, altitude, and complex aerial tactics. The legendary MiG Alley became the proving ground for this new technology. Here, the American F-86 Sabre clashed repeatedly with the Soviet-built MiG-15. These were sleek, swept-wing machines capable of speeds unimaginable just years before. The pilots who flew them were pushing the boundaries of human endurance and aeronautical engineering. Imagine an F-86 Sabre pilot, his face pressed against the oxygen mask, eyes scanning the deep blue Korean sky. The sound is no longer the chugging of a piston engine, but a piercing, sustained shriek, the invisible force of pure thrust pushing him forward. He's flying at over 600 miles per hour, 20,000 feet above the Yalu River, a cold, desolate landscape below. The Cold War is very real up here, the threat of nuclear confrontation always lurking in the background of every conventional skirmish. Suddenly, a flash, a silver dart catching the sunlight, a MiG-15, and not just one, but a flight of them, seemingly appearing out of nowhere, streaking down from higher altitudes, leaving thin contrails in their wake. The adrenaline hits him instantly, a raw, primal jolt that overrides the fatigue and the ever-present chill. The speed of the encounter is breathtaking, terrifying. There's less time to react, less margin for error. A split-second decision can mean the difference between life and death. He rolls his Sabre, the powerful jet engine responding instantly, allowing for aggressive maneuvers. The MiG-15 is incredibly agile, especially in a climb, but the Sabre excels in a dive and at high-speed turns. The pilot must leverage these advantages. He dives, trying to gain energy, the G-forces pressing down on him, distorting his vision. He's locked in a desperate dance with a formidable opponent, a deadly ballet at unimaginable speeds. The air is thinner, colder, and the jets handle differently, requiring new levels of precision and foresight.
Welcome back,
The
everyone.
MiGs are fast, their cannon fire devastating. He sees tracers from a MiG zip past his canopy, so close he can hear the faint whistle of rounds in the thin air, a sickening sound. His heart hammers against his ribs. He jinks, rolls, pulls, constantly maneuvering, trying to get the MiG into his gun sight. He finally gets a bead on one, a fleeting moment of alignment. He presses the trigger, his 6.50 caliber machine guns spitting fire, the recoil vibrating through the aircraft. A burst of smoke from the MiG, then an explosion, a sudden, violent end to a deadly machine. But the battle isn't over. Another MiG is on his tail, a menacing presence in his mirror. He executes a high yo-yo maneuver, climbing hard, then falling back down, bleeding off speed, attempting to force an overshoot. The G-forces are immense, blurring his vision, making his head feel heavy, his arms like lead. He fights through it, every muscle strained, every nerve alert. The very nature of jet combat demanded a different kind of bravery, not just a willingness to face death, but the physical and mental fortitude to endure unimaginable stresses. The scream of the engines, the suddenness of the engagements, and the unforgiving speed defined a new generation of aerial warriors, paving the way for the complex air battles yet to come. The experience was a dizzying blur of speed, sound, and a desperate struggle for positional advantage in the unforgiving upper atmosphere. The Cold War was a period of constant tension, a technological arms race that saw rapid advancements in military aviation, culminating in the complex air battles of the Vietnam War. This conflict introduced advanced air-to-air missiles, electronic warfare, and a new dimension of political and operational constraints that challenged pilots in unprecedented ways. In Vietnam, the skies were dominated by icons like the F-4 Phantom II, a versatile twin-engine behemoth designed for speed and carrying a formidable array of missiles. Opposing them were the highly agile MiG-17s, MiG-19s, and the supersonic MiG-21s, often flown by well-trained North Vietnamese pilots and later Soviet and Chinese advisors. Imagine an F-4 Phantom crew, a pilot and a weapons systems officer, WSO, hurtling through the hot, humid Vietnamese sky. The cockpit is a maze of dials, switches, and radar screens. The constant hum of sophisticated electronics fills the air, punctuated by the terse, professional chatter on the radio. They are on an intercept mission, heading towards a reported group of MiGs. Below, the dense jungle canopy stretches endlessly, a green shroud hiding countless threats. The WSO, his eyes glued to the radar scope, calls out contacts. Bogies at 12 o'clock, 30 miles, closing fast. The pilot's heart rate instantly spikes, but his hands remain steady on the stick and throttle. He pushes the F-4 to its limits, the twin engines roaring, the speed blurring the world outside. The G-forces are intense, but he and his WSO are a team, a single, highly trained unit. Their lives depend on perfect communication, flawless execution. The enemy aircraft are finally visible, tiny specks that rapidly grow into menacing shapes. The F-4 is primarily a missile platform, but the MiGs are adept at closing into a gunfight, a realm where the Phantom, initially lacking an internal gun, was at a disadvantage. Fox 1, Fox 1, the WSO calls as a Sparrow missile streaks away from the Phantom, a plume of smoke marking its deadly trajectory. The missile races towards the target, guided by the Phantom's radar. The MiG pilot, seeing the incoming threat, performs a violent evasive maneuver, a desperate attempt to break the missile's lock. The outcome of the missile shot is uncertain, obscured by distance and speed. Suddenly, a MiG-21 flashes past, too close for a missile shot. It's now a close-quarters dogfight, the very scenario the Phantom was not initially designed for. The pilot aggressively throws the F-4 around, the aircraft groaning under the strain. The WSO is frantically calling out threats, managing countermeasures, and trying to regain a missile lock. The pilot can feel the immense power of the F-4, but also its limitations in a tight turn against the smaller, more agile MiG. He's pulling Gs that threaten to tear him apart, the strain on his neck and body immense. He sees tracers from the MiG's cannon flash past his canopy, the distinct, chilling sound of enemy fire rattling the airframe. "Brake right, brake right!" His WSO shouts, his voice urgent. He jinks, feeling the aircraft shudder. He spots the MiG-21 now pulling away, but for a moment, it's in his sights. He unleashes a burst from the gun pod, a desperate, reactive spray of bullets. No immediate hit, but the MiG is forced to break off. The battle is chaotic, a whirlwind of speed, technology, and pure human instinct. The pilots and WSOs in Vietnam navigated not just enemy aircraft, but also the complex rules of engagement, ground-based SAM missiles, and anti-aircraft artillery. Their bravery was not only in facing a determined enemy, but also in mastering incredibly complex machines and sophisticated weapon systems under extreme pressure. The strain of these missions, often flying multiple sorties a day, living under constant threat, took a toll that few could truly comprehend. It was a new kind of air war, blending raw, visceral dogfights with the cold, calculating logic of missile warfare, pushing the evolution of air combat to new, critical frontiers. The Cold War continued its tense dance, and with it came incredible advancements in aviation technology, giving birth to aircraft that were more like flying supercomputers than mere machines. The F-14 Tomcat and F-15 Eagle emerged as symbols of American air superiority, facing off against increasingly capable Soviet designs like the MiG-23 and MiG-29 in hypothetical yet deeply rehearsed engagements. These aircraft were designed for beyond visual range combat, relying heavily on advanced radar and sophisticated air-to-air missiles. Imagine an F-14 Tomcat crew, a pilot and radar intercept officer, Rio, launching from an aircraft carrier in the dead of a Cold War night, somewhere in the vastness of the Atlantic. The steam catapult launch is a violent, ear-splitting event, propelling the massive fighter from 0 to over 150 knots in mere seconds. The afterburners ignite with a thunderous roar, a wall of fire pushing the aircraft into the inky blackness. The ocean below is an abyss, the sky above a canvas of stars, but their focus is entirely on the glowing green screens inside the cockpit. Their mission: intercept a pair of Soviet Tu-95 Bear bombers lurking on the edge of NATO airspace, perhaps accompanied by MiG escorts. The Rio's voice is calm, professional, calling out contacts on his radar scope. Bogies, Angels 40, closing fast, multiple contacts, potential escorts. The pilot's hands are steady, his eyes darting between his instruments and the dark horizon. The tension is palpable, a thick, suffocating blanket in the cramped cockpit. This isn't a training exercise, this is the knife edge of global confrontation. The Tomcat's formidable AWG-9 radar lights up the night, painting the distant targets. The Phoenix missile, the longest-range air-to-air missile of its time, is armed and ready.
Command
Fox
to all
3,
units.
Fox
Maintain
3,
current
the Rio
trajectory.
calls,
We have a
releasing a
confirmed
Phoenix
target lock.
missile.
Weapons free.
The missile
Repeat,
streaks
weapons
away,
free.
a silent hunter in the night, accelerating to Mach 4, guided by the Tomcat's powerful radar. The stakes are immense. Any actual engagement could trigger a much larger global conflict. Every action is meticulously planned, every consequence weighed. As they get closer, the radar identifies a new threat: MiG-23 floggers specifically designed to intercept and engage. The engagement transitions from long-range missile combat to a potential dogfight. The F-14's variable geometry wings sweep
Display
back,
reconfigured.
optimizing for high-speed
Correlation is holding
intercept,
at 97%,
then sweep forward
Captain.
for increased
Rerouting
maneuverability.
auxiliary power
The
now.
pilot feels the immense power of the Tomcat, its ability to accelerate and turn, but also the physical strain of flying such a complex and demanding machine. He's pulling immense G's, his body protesting, but his mind is razor sharp, focused on the evolving threat. He sees a flash, a trail of smoke. The Phoenix has found its mark, or forced an evasion. But the MiGs are still there, a swarm of angry hornets. He banks hard, feeling the weight of the aircraft, the massive engines pushing them through the sky. He rolls, pulls, pushing the Tomcat to its absolute limits, trying to gain positional advantage. The battle becomes a blur of radar warnings, missile launch alerts, and sudden violent maneuvers. His heart pounds, a frantic drum against his ribs. The fear is a cold, stark reality, but it is channeled, controlled, used to sharpen his senses.
The RIO is a flurry of activity, managing electronic countermeasures, calling out enemy missile launches, guiding the pilot's evasive actions. "Brake left, missile at 6 o'clock," he shouts, his voice strained. The pilot executes a violent defensive brake, feeling the aircraft shudder under the strain. He sees the glint of a MiG's cannon fire in the distance, a reminder of the raw, visceral element that still persists even in an age of guided missiles. He locks onto a MiG-23 with his shorter-range Sidewinder missile, fires, and watches it streak towards its target. A flash, a puff of smoke, another one down. The Cold War skies were a chessboard where every move had global implications. These pilots, flying at the bleeding edge of
We have an
technology,
unauthorized data spike
endured
in
not
Sector
just the
4.
physical strains of flight, but the
Initiating
immense
counter-sweep and locking
psychological
target
burden of
coordinates
knowing
now.
that one wrong move, one miscalculation, could escalate into unimaginable destruction. Their bravery was a silent, professional determination, played out against the backdrop of a world holding its breath. The F-14 and F-15, with their speed, power, and sophisticated systems, were not just aircraft. They were instruments of deterrence, symbols of an unwavering commitment to air superiority. The sheer complexity of managing these aircraft, their weapon systems, and the dynamic, rapidly evolving threat picture required a level of mental agility and processing power that pushed human capabilities to their absolute limit. Every engagement, whether real or simulated, was a testament to their unwavering professionalism and courage. As the Cold War concluded, the world saw a new paradigm of air combat emerge. The Gulf War in 1991, often dubbed the First Space War or Digital War, showcased the overwhelming power of stealth technology, precision-guided munitions, and network-centric warfare. Aircraft like the F-15 Eagle, F-16 Fighting Falcon, and the F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter redefined what was possible in the skies. Imagine an F-15 Eagle pilot strapped into his cockpit, flying through the dark, dust-choked skies over Iraq. The air is thick with the metallic tang of jet fuel and the distant rumble of explosions on the ground. Unlike previous generations, this pilot is not alone in his fight. He is part of an interconnected network, receiving real-time intelligence, target data, and threat warnings from AWACS aircraft, ground controllers, and other fighters. His cockpit is a glowing array of multifunction displays, presenting a god's-eye view of the battle space. His mission is air superiority, to sweep the skies clean of enemy aircraft, particularly the formidable Iraqi MiG-29s and Mirage F-1s. The F-15, nicknamed the King of the Air, is a purebred fighter designed for speed, climb, and devastating air-to-air combat. The pilot feels the raw power of its twin engines, capable of pushing him to Mach 2.5, a blur of speed and controlled aggression. The radar lights up, showing multiple contacts. Bandits at 1 o'clock, 50 miles, closing. A voice from AWACS crackles in his headset, calm and authoritative. The pilot selects his weapon, an AIM-120 AMRAAM, an active radar-guided missile capable of fire-and-forget operation. This is beyond visual range combat, where targets are engaged long before they can be seen with the naked eye. It's a chess match played at incredible speed, relying on technology, data, and split-second calculations. He presses the fire button, a missile streaking away with a whoosh and a trail of smoke. The F-15, armed with multiple AMRAAMs and Sidewinders, is a lethal platform. He maneuvers not to evade a visual threat, but to optimize his radar picture, to maintain situational awareness, and to prepare for subsequent engagements. The battle is less about tight turns and dogfights, though these can still happen, and more about managing the battle space, positioning for the kill, and utilizing the immense technological advantage. He gets a confirmation. Splash 1. The distant enemy aircraft, detected and targeted by technology, has been destroyed without ever being seen by the pilot. But the threat remains. Another Iraqi MiG-29, more aggressive, attempts to close in, trying to negate the F-15's long-range advantage. This time, the engagement becomes closer, entering the visual realm. The pilot sees the flash of an enemy aircraft, sleek and dangerous.
He reacts instantly, pulling the F-15 into a violent turn, feeling the incredible G-forces pressing him into his seat, the edges of his vision tunneling. He pushes through the pain, his focus absolute. He sees the MiG trying to get into position, but the F-15 is faster, climbs harder, and has superior energy retention. He uses his raw power, maneuvering aggressively, forcing the MiG into defensive postures. He locks on with a Sidewinder, a heat-seeking missile, and fires. The missile streaks towards the MiG, impacting with a flash of light. Another enemy aircraft disintegrates, a silent testament to the F-15's dominance. The battle culminates with swift, decisive victories, demonstrating the overwhelming air power that modern militaries could project. The fear is still present, the adrenaline still surges, but it is now managed within a highly technological, data-rich environment, demanding a different kind of mental processing and decision-making under pressure. The modern air combat pilot is as much a systems operator as a stick and rudder man, integrating vast amounts of information to make life or death choices in milliseconds. The journey through the skies continues, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The 21st century has introduced a new generation of stealth fighters like the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II. These aircraft represent the pinnacle of aerospace engineering, combining unparalleled stealth capabilities with advanced sensor fusion, supercruise performance, and network integration. Imagine an F-22 Raptor pilot flying a mission deep into contested airspace, utterly invisible to conventional radar. The cockpit is a serene, almost sterile environment, yet beneath the surfaces, billions of lines of code are constantly processing, synthesizing, and presenting information. The pilot's helmet is a sophisticated display, projecting flight data, target information, and threat warnings directly onto his visor. He is not just flying a plane, he is commanding a node in a vast, interconnected digital battlefield. His mission? To establish air dominance, to eliminate any threat before it can even perceive his presence. The F-22 cruises at supersonic speeds without using afterburners, a phenomenon known as supercruise, allowing it to cover vast distances rapidly and efficiently. The air is thin and cold at this altitude, but inside the cockpit, the environment is controlled, the hum of electronics the only constant sound. He detects enemy aircraft, advanced 4th and 5th generation fighters on his radar, while remaining completely undetected himself. This is the ultimate predator's advantage. He doesn't engage in a frantic dogfight, he orchestrates a digital symphony of destruction. He launches multiple AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles, guiding them with his stealthy radar, while simultaneously sharing target data with other friendly assets. The enemy pilots are completely unaware of the incoming threat until their own systems begin to detect missile launches, often too late to react effectively. The pilot feels a profound sense of power, but also immense responsibility. Every action is precise, calculated, a surgical strike in the vast digital realm. There's less raw, visceral dogfighting, but the mental pressure is immense, the stakes just as high. He is processing an overwhelming amount of information, making rapid decisions and acting as a stealthy quarterback for an entire aerial strike package. The F-22 is not just a fighter, it is a force multiplier, an aerial dominator that reshapes the entire battle space. Beyond piloted aircraft, the evolution of air combat is now moving towards autonomous systems and drone warfare. Unmanned combat aerial vehicles, or UCAVs, are already playing an increasingly significant role, conducting strike missions and surveillance with precision and endurance far exceeding human capabilities. The future may see human pilots acting as commanders of drone swarms, directing battles from a distance, or flying alongside AI wingmen. Yet, even as technology advances, the core elements of air combat remain: the pursuit of air superiority, the innovation of tactics, and the ultimate test of courage. From the fragile biplanes of the Great War, where pilots flew by the seat of their pants, to the supersonic, stealthy supercomputers of today, air combat has undergone a profound transformation. Each era has brought new challenges, new technologies, and new demands on the brave men and women who dare to take to the skies. But throughout this evolution, one constant remains: the indomitable spirit of the fighter pilot. The courage to face overwhelming odds, the skill to master incredibly complex machines, and the unwavering dedication to mission. From the roar of propellers over the English Channel to the piercing scream of jet engines over MiG-Aui, from the carrier decks of the Pacific to the digital battlefields of the modern era, these air battles are more than just historical events. They are epic sagas of human ingenuity, tales of profound bravery, and vivid demonstrations of the relentless pursuit of technological advantage. Each dogfight, each intercept, each strategic mission tells a story of split-second decisions and ultimate sacrifice. This stunning compilation, presented with cinematic precision, is a tribute to aviation's greatest duels and a testament to the warriors who defined generations of aerial combat. It is a chronicle of a century of innovation, a celebration of the human spirit pushed to its absolute limits, and a stark reminder of the eternal struggle for dominance in the boundless blue. The skies have always been, and will forever be, the ultimate stage for the most intense battles ever fought. Join us in reliving these unforgettable moments, these epic clashes of metal and will that continue to shape the very future of warfare. The ultimate collection of air battles, meticulously recreated for the definitive experience, awaits your command.